Hi, students. This is our last logic lecture, and we're going to learn how to identify valid categorical reasoning as opposed to invalid. So what we're going to be analyzing are categorical syllogisms. A categorical syllogism is an argument that has two premises and one conclusion, and the premises and conclusion are categorical propositions. It has the form where it uses three terms, each twice. The major term is the predicate of the conclusion. The minor term is the subject of the conclusion, and we call the term that appears only in the premises the middle term. The middle term is what links the predicate and the subject of the conclusion in the reasoning. So we have an argument like this: all snakes are reptiles, no dolphins are reptiles, no snakes are dolphins. Snakes is the minor term. The major term is dolphins, and the middle term, the one that's used twice in the premises, is reptiles. So now I want you to do this. I want you to identify the major, middle, and minor for the following argument. All humans are mammals, all mammals are vertebrates, all humans are vertebrates. So just checking in with you guys, the middle term there is mammals, okay? So now in order to analyze this, the easy way, which is using a mnemonic device invented originally by medieval monks, we have to put our argument into standard form, just as we put our propositions, our categorical propositions, into standard form. We need to put our argument into a particular arrangement or form. So the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to make sure all your statements are in categorical standard form. And then you're going to list the major premise first. The major premise is the premise that contains the major term. Again, the major is the predicate of the conclusion. Then the minor premise is listed second. Conclusion is always last. You indicate the order for the premises and indicate the conclusion with C and then colon. So here's an informal language argument. Friends are good people. Good people are not vicious. Friends aren't vicious. When we put that into standard form, I'm going to go back. Sorry. Vicious is the first thing I look for. Okay, the predicate of the conclusion is the first thing I look for. So the conclusion is vicious. We're also going to put friends are not vicious. We're going to put that into standard form. So that'll say no friends are vicious. Okay. Where it says friends are good people, we put our quantifier in front of that. All friends are good people. And again, we're going to put it in the standard form. No good people are vicious. So we've got vicious here in premise one. That's the major premise. Friends, which is the minor term or the subject of the conclusion, is in the minor premise, the second premise, and the conclusion is last. So that is how you do standard form. So match the arguments to standard form for the following argument. There's a hermit who is a homeowner. Homeowners are taxpayers, so some taxpayers are hermits. Okay. So what you're going to notice is that between the two, the difference is the order of the premises. So which order is correct? So should some hermits are homeowners be premise one? Or should all homeowners are taxpayers be premise one? So look between A and B and figure out which one is the correct standard form, which one has a major premise in the proper position. Okay, here's one from earlier in the semester when Peter and Brian are talking, and Peter makes a fallacy. It's not just an informal fallacy, it's also a formal fallacy. So here I want you to put it into categorical reasoning. Okay, in original form, it goes kerosene is fuel, Brian. Red Bull is fuel. Kerosene is Red Bull. Okay, so is it all kerosene is fuel, all Red Bull is fuel, all kerosene is Red Bull? Or is it all Red Bull is fuel, all kerosene is fuel, all kerosene is Red Bull? Finally, if we have an argument, all dogs are not children, some children should be on a leash, dogs should not be on a leash, okay? Which of the two is it? Is it A, all dogs are not children, some children are beings that should be on a leash? Or is it premise 1 first, some children are beings that should be on a leash, and no dogs are children? That's premise 2. Which of the two is it? Both have the same conclusion. Oh, no, they don't. So sorry. For A, you have the conclusion all dogs are beings that should not be on a leash, whereas on a B, you have no dogs should be on a leash. So which of the two is standard form? Okay, so when we have all the possible categorical propositions and all the possible categorical syllogisms, so the arrangements of them, given the 3 terms, we end up having 256 possible categorical syllogisms. So out of those 256, only 15 are valid in both Boole and Aristotelian logic. And if we give the certain existential assumptions that Aristotle entails, then 24 altogether are valid in Aristotelian. That's including the 15 that are also valid in Boole. The existential assumptions give more information that allows us to have more valid forms of reasoning. So, as I mentioned before, medieval logicians invented a mnemonic device to remember all the possible valid forms, okay? So I'm just going to show you they're called figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, and figure 4. So I'm going to explain these different arrangements of subject and predicate to show you how the different arguments can have different arrangements. So for figure 1, this has the middle in the first place for the major premise, and the middle in the second place for the minor premise. Okay, so it sort of goes down. That's the way we think about it. Okay, it's going down because you have the middle first here and you have the middle second here. Okay, that's figure 1. All of them have the conclusion with the subject and the predicate. I'm using subject and predicate instead of major and minor here because it's just easier to identify visually instead of them all starting with letter M. Okay, so for figure 2, the middle term comes second, the major comes first for the major premise. The middle comes second for the minor premise as well. So we think of the middle as being in the back, okay, for figure 2. For figure 3, the middle ends up being in the front. The middle comes first for the major term and comes first for the major premise and comes first for the minor premise. And then for figure 4, this is the last possible arrangement. This is where it goes major. For the major premise, the predicate goes first, the middle comes second. And for the minor premise, the middle comes first, and the subject of the conclusion comes second. Oh, this is the way that I visualized it, okay? Where we have it going down, and then back to back, and then up. Okay, one way to remind you is to think of this as like putting your arms up like goalposts, okay, or yay, okay, and remember it goes down, back, front, up, okay? Again, I'm just trying to get you to be able to remember it, and for me at least, diagrams and visual stuff really help me remember stuff. Now, the way that they learned way back when how to remember the valid forms of reasoning was they invented names for the types of argument, okay? So they called one argument Barbara, another accelerant, and then we can look at all the different figures, and they each have these different names for the arguments, okay? Because these are Latin names and because these aren't words that we are familiar with, this does not really help us remember, okay? But here is the list in total. And when I explain how this works, I hope you can use this list to be able to identify valid from invalid forms. Okay, so when we look at the letters, instead of looking at the consonants, let's just look at the vowels. Okay, so figure 1, we have Barbara, which is A, A, A. So I think of this one as A, 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 figure 1. I call this banana. That's because it's easier for me to remember banana than it is for me to remember Barbara. For accelerant, the E starts, okay, so E is the major premise, A is the minor premise, and the conclusion is E as well. Okay, so we've got E, A, E. They use the word accelerant. I use the word leaves. Okay. So as we go down this, for Darii, here, I'm going to switch to the next one. Next slide so you can see what I'm doing. No, 1 second. This is what I'm doing. I cannot control this at all. Hold on 1 second. There you go. This is what I use. I use the word banana for this, and I use leaves for the second one. Okay. So when it's got the asterisk, like Barbarie and Celerant, okay, we see the asterisk there. And for Cesaro and Camestros, okay, these indicate that they're only valid in Aristotelian reasoning, given again the Aristotelian assumptions. So it can be assuming the subject exists, assuming the predicate exists, or assuming the middle exists. Okay, so if we use these, we can identify valid reasoning. An example, one of the unconditionally valid arguments is Darii. Okay, so that is A, I. So A comes first. So therefore, that is our major premise. So our major premise is an all statement. And it's figure 1. So we start with the middle first. All middle is major, is the way that the Darii starts. And then for premise 2, this is an I statement. So it's a sum statement. So it goes sum minor is middle. Again, for figure 1, it goes down. So middle comes first in the major premise, and the middle comes second in the minor premise. And then, of course, always the conclusion is sum minor is major. If you want to, here's the visual for figure 1 pattern, okay, so that you can visualize this as well. And I'm going to give you a real argument that demonstrates Darii. Premise 1, major premise, all cats are mammals. Some pets are cats, so some pets are mammals. This is unconditionally valid, meaning it's valid in both Boolean and in Aristotelian. Next is Barbara, okay, or as I call it, banana. So this is A, figure 1. So we've got all cats are mammals. All tabbies are cats. Again, cats goes down here. And all tabbies are mammals is the conclusion. Now let's do a different figure. So we're going to do figure 4. Figure 4, the middle term appears in the second part, in the last part for the major, and in the first part for the minor. So here's an example of an AEO, figure 4. All cats are mammals. No mammals are bank robbers. Some cats are not bank robbers. We have Barocco, which is AOO figure 2. I'll give you an example of this one. So for our A, we've got all rivers are waterways. O, some banks are not waterways, and our O conclusion, some banks are not rivers. Okay, so I invented a poem to help me remind, or well, I don't want to call it a poem. Yeah. All right. We'll call it a poem because it operates as just a set of words that sound okay together. But for this, they help me remember, so they're a mnemonic device. So use the vowels, okay, from the different patterns and try to invent your own way to remember the figures. Now, I've got one for figure 1. It goes banana leaves, raining session, abstain gelato. You will see that I've bolded all of the vowels, and I haven't included any other vowels. You can invent a different way to remember it. I've had students use dance, to use rhyming poems, whatever works for you. I want you to try to, at home, invent your own way to remember it. So pick your figure. Again, rhyme, create a visual montage. People have done many different things, whatever helps you remember the patterns. Here are the patterns without the Latin letters. Okay, so figure 2 goes EAE, AEE, EIO, and AOO. And then for the Aristotelian, valid only, EAO and AEO. Okay. When you look across, you might notice that there is one argument that's valid unconditionally in all forms, and that's EIO. Okay. I use the word session for that one, but whatever helps you. So here I want you to practice using these patterns, and I want you to match these to AAA figure 1, EAE figure 3, or EIO figure 4. First argument, no dogs are snakes, all dogs are felines. Conclusion, no felines are snakes. Argument 2, all mammals are vertebrates, all dogs are all dogs are mammals. Conclusion, all dogs are vertebrates. Last one, nothing worthwhile is painless. Some painless things are paintings. Some paintings are not worthwhile things. Now use the medieval method, okay, which is use these patterns. I'm going to go back. This is the easiest one for you to be able to see, okay, if you haven't created your own way to remember it, okay? And I want you to tell me, using this method, which arguments are invalid, Boolean or Aristotelian, and which are valid, Boolean or Aristotelian. So here's the first argument. All landscapes are paintings. All landscapes are works of art. Some works of arts are paintings. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to do this with number 1, and then you guys do 2 and 3. Okay. So what I do for this one is, at first I'm going to check to make sure they're in the right order. Is this in standard form? Well, paintings is my major, and paintings is in my first premise. So this is in the correct order. Then I'm going to look at the patterns. I've got an A, an all, an A, and an I here. Some works of arts are paintings. So I've got A, I. Now I have to look and see where my middle term is. Here my middle term is in the first place for my major and in the first place for my minor. So therefore my figure is figure 3, because that's where your major is, your middle term is in the subject of the 2 premises. So I've got A, I, figure 3, and I'm going to go back and look at figure 3. Do I have an AAI? Yes, I do, right here. And it's got an asterisk on it. So I go back. This one, AAI, is valid in Aristotelian. Therefore, only in Aristotelian, sorry. invalid, Boolean. So I want you to do the next two. You can read them yourself or listen to me read them out loud. So number 2, some vegetables are green peppers. No vegetables are words. Some words are not green peppers. Last one, all dogs are floofs. Some pups are floofs. Some pups are dogs. For this one, I want you to put them in standard form first. Then you're going to, again, use the medieval method to determine whether the arguments are invalid, valid in Boolean and Aristotelian, or valid in Aristotelian, only invalid in Boolean. So first one, those excited about the movie are students. No leaders at the camp are excited about the movie, so students don't lead at the camp. Number 2, unicorns aren't horses. Clydesdales are horses. Thus, Clydesdales are not unicorns. Okay. Now I'm going to teach you a second method to be able to determine if an argument is valid or invalid. You can use the method I just taught you guys, but you can also use this method. I'm going to go over distribution now. This concept is necessary for us to be able to identify it in the formal fallacy method, which is the next method I'm going to teach you to be able to see if a categorical syllogism is valid or invalid. Again, that method I just taught you works perfectly well. You can use that. But I want to expand your knowledge about this and teach you this method as well. So distribution is about the scope or of how many the term covers for all of the members of the class that it denotes or picks out in the real world. So again, I want you to think about the square of opposition where we have A and E on the top and I and O on the bottom. And I like to think about the top for universals as being distributing the subject. So when I say all cats are mammals, I'm distributing the term cats, okay, across this concept. For no cats are reptiles, I'm again distributing cats across the whole of the concept of reptiles. So that's on the top, the A and the E, the universals distribute the subject. On the right-hand side of the square of opposition is the negations, okay, both E and O. So no subject or predicate and some subject are not predicate. These are the ones on the right-hand side. Negations are about the predicate term. Remember, negation, say no cats or reptiles, is really all cats are not reptiles. Okay, so the not is acting on excluding from the predicate term. Okay, thus same thing with some cats are not reptiles. Okay, again, we're excluding a particular cat from all of the members of the reptiles. Okay, so universals distribute the subject, negations distribute the predicate. So therefore, an all sentence, an A sentence, distributes the subject itself, but does not distribute the predicate of the all sentence. No SRP distributes both the subject and the predicate. Some SRP, an I sentence, distributes nothing, okay? We can make an I sentence about one individual. I could say someone is president, okay? So that doesn't do any distribution, whereas some S are not P and O sentence distributes the predicate. So again, A sentence distributes subject, E distributes subject and predicate, O distributes predicate, and I distributes nothing. So this is the reason why you learn distribution, is if we look at an argument, a categorical syllogism, we can do these 5 checks to see if this is a valid argument if we don't have our list of valid arguments available to us. Okay, so the first check is a distribution check. In order to link the subject and predicate in the premises, we need the middle term to be distributed at least once in the premises. Otherwise, we call this the fallacy of the undistributed middle. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look up at the middle term and we're going to see if it appears as the subject in an all, the subject or the predicate in a no, okay, or the predicate in an O sentence, in a some or not sentence. If it appears in any of those, okay, then it is distributed. The next rule is distribution, right, from the major into the conclusion and from the minor into the conclusion. So if the major or the minor is distributed in the conclusion, it must be distributed in the premise, okay, and vice versa, okay? So if it is not distributed correctly, then we call that the illicit major or the illicit minor. Okay, so first you check to see if the middle is distributed. Then you check to see if the major or the minor is distributed in the conclusion and see if it's distributed in the premises. Next is the negation check, okay? For these, we want to make sure, first and foremost, that we're not going from knowledge about lack to knowledge about something. So we can't go from 2 negative premises to any conclusion. We can't get from the negative to the affirmative. So if a premise is negative, the conclusion, or sorry, if both premises, negation check number 1, check for negative premises, the premises cannot both be negative. Negation check number 2, if the premise is negative, the conclusion must be negative and vice versa. So for this one, we can't get an affirmative with a negative, okay? So we can't go from a negative in our conclusion, in our premises to an affirmative in our conclusion. And we can look at it the other way around. We can't get to a negative from just affirmatives. So we need a negative in the premises and a negative in the conclusion if we have negations at all. The last check is only what we do for Boolean. For Bool arguments, if a conclusion is particular, one of the premises must be particular. And we don't have this requirement for Aristotelian because, again, Aristotelian assumes sometimes that a subject, predicate, or middle term exists, okay? So this is what we call the existential check, and therefore the existential fallacy if we go from universal premises to a particular conclusion in Bool. So here's an example of checking for invalidity using the rule method. Again, we're going to go back to an argument we had earlier. All gasoline or fuel, all Red Bull is fuel, all Red Bull is gasoline. Okay, so here we have our middle term is fuel. So we're going to check to see if our middle term is distributed. Because fuel shows up in the predicate of an A sentence, an all sentence for the premise 1, it doesn't distribute in premise 1. Because fuel shows up again in the predicate for an all sentence, it doesn't distribute in premise 2. So neither premise distributes the middle term. Thus, this would be the fallacy of the undistributed middle. Here's another argument. No carrots are patios. Some patios are not covered. No carrots are covered. In this one, we have patios is the middle, and it's distributed in the first premise. So it doesn't fail that check. So then we go to the next check. We're going to see if our major and our minor are distributed in our conclusion. Both are distributed, so we're going to go look up and see if they're distributed in the premises. Okay. So carrots is distributed in the conclusion and it's distributed in the premise 1. Covered is distributed in the conclusion and covered is distributed in premise 2 as well because it's an O sentence. So rules 1 and 2 are obeyed. Now we check our third rule, which is you cannot have 2 negative premises. No carrots or patios is an E sentence. Some carrots are not covered as an O sentence. So both of them are negative. Thus, this does the fallacy of 2 negatives. So this one is not valid either. Okay, now I want you to practice with this and try to determine if these arguments are valid or invalid using the rule method. So argument number 1, no landscapes are sculptures. All landscapes are works of art. Some works of art are not sculptures. Number 2, premise 1, some rabbits are not green. All green things are visible things. Some visible things are not rabbits. And finally, premise 1, no dogs are Bigfoots. Some Bigfoots are imaginary. No imaginary things are dogs. This time you're going to put the argument in standard form yourself first. And you're, again, going to use the rule method to determine if valid and which rule it breaks if it's invalid. Number 1, carrots are delicious. Cakes are delicious. Some cakes are carrots. Number 2, unicorns aren't let me say that again. So sorry. Unicorns aren't helpful. Clydesdales are helpful. Thus, Clydesdales are not unicorns. Okay. And that is the last lecture for Logic 111. And thanks very much for hanging in there.